Building Men is brought to you by Finish the Race Apparel, FTRapparel.com, the creators of all things building men, and by Become Stronger Industries, become-stronger.com, the creators of handmade steel maces, hammers, and other badass equipment.
Some dark stories we can share. Everyone's got their story. You know what I'm saying? Everyone's got a story. And it's just a lot of us are reluctant to tell them. And I think as poets, we tend to tell those stories, speak for the, we're the voice for the voiceless, if you will. And we just, we put the pain on paper and hope that someone can resonate to it, let them know they're not alone.
You're listening to the Building Men podcast with Dennis and Anthony Miralda, brothers on a mission
to help you become the strongest version of yourself, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically.
What's up, brother?
What's up?
All right, Building Men podcast. Here we go. So this is an interesting episode. Our guest today was referred to me by my daughter, Jules, who is 14 years old. She watched a presentation at Bordentown Regional Middle School where I used to be the assistant principal, right? You actually came to that school. Remember when
was that the day that it was like bring your son to work day and you brought me there?
To work
yeah.
And I brought you to work. I was 14 years younger than me.
Yeah. Well, how was I 15 or was I?
You were 15 or 16. It was right where the 8th grade girls were trying to get with you. The girls were in school, and I was like, all right, we can't.
Everybody, I know that was great. I was like I was just new meat coming in there. They
God.
never.
Yeah, it was something. I remember I was like, keep it in your pants.
I got a girl's number, and she wasn't a student there, but she wasn't a student.
Teacher? What the fuck? No. Teacher's number?
No, somebody else brought their daughter into work. Do you remember?
I do remember.
Yeah.
Kim Blood was a teacher.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, and I got her number, and then the one 8th grade.
Materialized from that?
No. I did something. I don't know. I'm an asshole. It's fine.
All right. So then I'm going to bring on our guest right now. His name is Michael Peterson. He goes by the Chief. When I asked him how to introduce him, he said, whatever you want. We'll do whatever. But he's a motivational speaker. He is a poet. And when you listen to him, he said it a couple times. He said, I'm a thug first. I'm a thug first and foremost. Chief, what's up, man? How you doing?
How's it going, my man? What's going on? How you guys doing? That's
great.
So funny.
Doing
Do you see that on my page?
We did. I went back. I watched some of the Instagram things that you had done before. Definitely motivational. Love your take. Love your vibe. Everything about it. And
I appreciate it, man.
We just sat here and we listened to "I Wish Life Had Training Wheels." We listened to that whole thing. So
really.
Yeah, dude, it's fucking powerful, man.
And that's what's up, man. Thank you.
Flow of it, it really totally has a different energy to it. Just how you present it, right? It's literally like I'm watching a movie. I was just pictured everything right there in front of me.
That's so cool, man. I felt like it was too long, but I had to tell my story, and I'm so glad. Did it keep you guys entertained?
We were silent. We were silent in here just listening to it. Literally, it was like no one was speaking. It was like we were watching something.
That's what's up, yo. I really appreciate that, man. So that was I put that together in hopes of getting some for Grammy contention, and there's a spoken word album of the year Grammy that the nominees were shout out to Jay Ivy, one poet in the category, but it was Jay Ivy, Barack Obama, Don Cheadle, Dave Chappelle, and LeVar Burton, the Sesame Street cat. Like, so my competition was pretty steep. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So real quick though, Dennis, am I the first person your daughter referred?
Is that person my daughter referred? She came back from school that day and she goes, Dad, you got to get the Chief on. You got to get the Chief on your podcast. And I said, who is the Chief? She's like, he is a motivational speaker. Everybody loved him. There were people laughing. There were people crying. There were people clapping along. I was like, all right, let's do this. I reached out to you that day. You got back in touch with me. So this came full circle from.
That's kind of cool, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
That's real cool, man. That's what's up. Tell Jules I said hello.
I definitely will. She's going to love this. She's going to absolutely love this. All right. So you're in contention for a Grammy.
No. I was.
Oh, you was?
I was, but I didn't get considered. So I was in consideration for one, but I didn't get nominated. The Grammys, Don Cheadle actually won it.
That was a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what he did.
I don't know. But I can't imagine. Yeah.
So what happens is, we're trying to. The poets are now trying to make a push to have that spoken word category only allotted for poets. So what it is it's from the Grammy consideration. It's literally words spoken. I believe Don Cheadle was the narrator for an audiobook, and with that, he was nominated and won for. Yeah.
Who was the host of the Grammys
this year? who did the Grammys this year? Trevor Noah, I believe.
Would you go
Was it Trevor
and smack him in the face?
Not a chance in the world. We can get in there. So we with that, since we talked about that on my podcast, by the way, and it ultimately comes down to, we felt like regardless of what the reasons were, the man needed to seek some therapy. There's something going on that we don't know about that would cause him to do some shit like that. So
hell yes.
Yeah, I mean,
oh yes.
I don't slapped a few people in my day, but I don't know if that's
to a slap too. I mean, you get punched in the face, right? You get hit in the face. It's but the slap, the sting that comes along with it, it's a very emasculating.
It's very
much so. Yeah. Very much so. You better off just knocking me out. You slap me in front of my lady. We got to fight every time I see you.
Yep.
That's it.
Every time I see you.
A lot of ground to make up after that. You know?
Absolutely.
So your podcast is that All Black Men Need Therapy. Is that the name?
All Black Men Need Therapy. Yes, that's what it is.
For us, we're sitting here as white men. Are do we need therapy as well? Or as a Black man, you just can't speak to us needing therapy?
So, based on what society may believe, it is presumed that white men may go to therapy more often than Black men. It's shunned upon in our culture for some reason. You know, you're not tough, you're weak, you're soft when you go to therapy. So we wanted to just open the forum for it to encourage more men to consider therapy, because it's very much so real. And some things that we deem as normal, and that's men in general, people in general, that we deem as normal may be completely traumatizing to other people, completely traumatizing. And we don't, and again, growing up in certain environments, we're like, yeah, this is, everybody's like this, but no, that's not true. But because we normalize it doesn't mean it's normal for society. So we just, with the things we deal with, we want to encourage men to just go talk to somebody, dig deep into your past and try to help yourself heal. Because a lot of the ways that we conduct ourselves now are attributed to some of the things we experiences from childhood. So
you're absolutely right there. It's interesting too. We're socialized to think it's not okay for men to show their feelings, to be vulnerable, to cry, to lean into other men in that way. But it actually takes more courage. You need to be stronger to deal with that shit. It's easy to stuff that shit down, right?
Oh, for sure, man. And I think that I've come into a place where, I mean, you guys listen to the I Wish Life Had Training Wheels, and it's a story of my life and regarding what happened to my brother. My younger brother was murdered, 13 years ago now. Feels like yesterday. But with that situation, I fell into this crazy depression. And at the time, I didn't recognize it as depression. I just thought, it's just normal shit you go through when you lose somebody. You're supposed to be sad. You're supposed to feel a certain way. But it lasted like 2.5 years. I had never been there before, so I didn't really know how to handle it. So the way I did it, I drove away. I want to say I ended up in New Jersey. I just got on the highway and drove. And was just driving. And then just got off an exit. It was a hotel, maybe like a half mile off the exit. I parked there, turned my phone off, and just wrote. And spent the weekend there and just wrote. Took some naps, got up and started writing. And like 48 pages later, I got this story that I broke down and, made some edits to, and then just turned it into a stage play. So, and with that experience, I say the vulnerability part was telling that story. And then that's not often you see a 6'1", 250-pound Black man on stage in tears. You know what I'm saying? So to be able to represent that meant something to me, and I actually shared a snippet of it with your daughter and her classmates that day, and I think that's what really kind of reeled them in. They get that real life experience. A lot of what I write about is relatively emotionally connected, regardless of what the emotion is. If I've pulled you in emotionally, it's a win. So if we go on a story right now and I have you laughing hysterically, you leave and go, Chief was so funny. Now people want to find out what's so funny about Chief. You leave and go, Chief had me crying. Damn, what was so sad about it? So as long as I've connected with some emotion, it's a win for me.
Good point too. When you could connect an emotion to a learning experience, they might not know exactly what you said to make them laugh, to make them cry, to make them think, but they know that they did. Right. And they know that they were connected to you via that emotion. They'll never forget that experience. You go back, talk to my daughter in 20 years, she'll remember Chief being up on stage talking to her about that.
And it's like a quote: people will forget what you say, forget what you did, never forget how you made them feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was Maya Angelou, I believe, said that.
Hey, okay, right, okay. Hey, I can't remember the exact quote, but something along those lines. Yeah,
absolutely.
So, and it's just for me, it's just writing, man. Like I got friends who can write a poem about this laptop, and it'd be one of the most creative and interesting things you've ever heard in your life. But for me, it's like, it doesn't work for me because I'm not connected. So everything I write about has come from like a relatively personal or something I've experienced via myself or someone else. So everything is about just life.
So take us back into your childhood. Was this something that you were always interested in? Was writing the way that you would express yourself, or was not something that came across later on in your life?
It definitely developed later on in life, but I remember I told this story to Jules and the crew. My first time, I don't even think I recognized it, but my first time writing as like a therapeutic measure, I was getting on a city bus one day and my foot missed one of the steps and my leg, like I kicked the dress of a woman who was behind me. And she was like, damn N-words. And I remember I was like 15. I had long, don't judge me, I had long dreads, you know what I'm saying? I'm bald now, but my hair was long, you know what I'm saying? So I kind of I might have fit the part, but I was raised to at least to be respectful. I mean, I got in my knucklehead trouble, but I was respectful. And I remember sitting on the bus yo, this lady didn't give me a chance to apologize. Didn't know nothing about me. And I had missed I was one of them. I'm still the type of when I get angry, I cry. I'm the angry crier. I'm not lashing out, but I'm just sitting there, fist clenched, and I'm just crying. And I missed my stop. And the next stop was at one of my homies' house. I went to his crib, and he had a coaster. And on the coaster, it said, "There's no such thing as strangers, just friends you haven't met." And I kept reading that shit, and I was like, that was relative to the relationship, to the situation I just went through. So I wrote my first little poem and I titled it, "There's no such thing as strangers, just friends you haven't met." And I used that for an English class project the next day or whatever. And that's kind of how I think it started. And then going through college and going through the bitter breakup blues, you know what I'm saying? I started to write it down. And then I stumbled across an open mic one day. And I remember being like, wow, this is kind of cool. I got some stuff I could read. So I went back the next week. I read a sad poem. And at the end of that night, it was a breakup poem or whatever. End of that night, dude walked up to me. I was 18 years old. He said, "I'm 55 years old. And you said something I've been trying to say my entire life."
Wow.
And after that, I'm like, wow, if my pain, my sorrows can help somebody, inspire somebody, then I must be, I'm doing something. So I went back every week and I read another sad ass poem. And after 3 weeks, the dude was like, "Yo, you don't have anything positive going on in your life?" I was like, all right, cool. So then that's when it kind of shifted and morphed into just changing my writing and developing more writing skills or whatever. And then it just kind of took off, man. You go to one spot, people are like, "Oh, that was nice. Could you come read at my place? Oh, could you come read at my place? Hey, I got $50 for you. Hey, I got $100 for you. Hey, I got $500 for you. Hey, we have a $3,000 budget." It just kind of just took off, man. Literally just took off. I've been all literally international via some poetry. How cool is that?
And I love that this is something that you identified from a negative situation that you turned around and you made it into a positive situation. One of the things that you talk about is you are a product of pain. Mm-hmm. It is something that you have used that pain in your life, that it's helped to propel you to do some really cool things and inspire other people. When did you first realize that? Or was that a saying that you knew your whole life, that it was just that was who you were? Or is that something that, an epiphany that you had recently, that all this pain that you have gone through has helped propel you?
I think typically for the average spoken word artist, I would say a lot of our writing derives from some sort of pain. And we put it on page. And again, we just learn to morph our creativity around it. And I can't necessarily say that. I think that honestly, the product of pain was a writing prompt on Instagram. When COVID happened, the poets would create a different challenge, and other poets would write the same type of poem, just using the title. I think product of pain was one of the challenges, and I just kind of I thought it was a cool concept, because we all come from we all have some dark stories we can share. Everyone's got their story. You know what I'm saying? Everyone's got a story. And it's just a lot of us are reluctant to tell them. And I think as poets, we tend to tell those stories, speak for we're the voice for the voiceless, if you will. And we just, we put the pain on paper and hope that someone can resonate to it, let them know they're not alone. Because oftentimes, especially as men, we feel like we go through some of this shit by ourselves and then no one else knows what we're going through. But in actuality, we do. We just don't talk about it.
And that's the biggest thing I was just going to say. You're doing a disservice by almost not speaking your things that you've been through, and you're almost this wounded healer, right? This person's using his past experiences to then help other people going through this, but they don't know that other people are like them because no one speaks about it. Because as men, we go in and we hold it all in, never expressing, so we assume we're alone in these situations.
Absolutely.
So you're kind of giving that to them, which is awesome.
I'm trying to. We have this innate ability to compartmentalize. We'll go through a situation, throw it in a little pocket, throw it in the back of the brain. Go to another one, put it in the pocket, throw it in the back, and then all of a sudden, one day, all of them shits connect, and that's when we explode and some bad shit happens. So I'm just trying to, I'm an advocate now of getting it out while we can and while we're aware of it, recognizing these tough situations and talking about them and trying to, help us heal.
We had a guy on a podcast it was last summer. His name is Brandon Robinson, and he wrote a book called When Words Won't Form, My Pen Speaks. And Brandon grew up in Detroit, Michigan, and he grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, and he was a very empathic human being, very emotional, very artistic, but he felt like he could not express himself because he was afraid of what the kids that he was hanging around with would think of him. So he stuffed everything down for a long period of time. And then finally it came out when he wrote a book, and poetry was a part of it. I would love to connect the two of you together because there's without a doubt some synergy there. So
that's dope. I just wrote his name down in the books. I'm definitely gonna get it. We hang up when we get off the podcast. I'm gonna go buy it for sure.
And with him, he felt like that was a part of him that was stifled. So for you, you mentioned when you were 18 years old, you get up on stage, you start reading poetry. All of a sudden, this comes out. Do you feel that you were unable to express yourself because of the environment that you grew up in? Were you afraid to talk about, were you afraid to come out of your shell and be like, this is who I am, or it just never came up for you?
So that's a double-edged sword, bro, because as adolescents, we feel like we're confident. We walk around like, in high school, I was the jock. I was the athlete. I played all sports, the captain of all the teams, whatever. So I had a little bit of clout or whatever. So that's what kind of gave me this false confidence. But when I did that poem for English class, I remember people laughing at me. So, in to this day, my boys like, what you gonna do, write a poem about it? You this tough macho football stud throwing up all this weight, but you writing poems in the corner. You know what I'm saying? So I was constantly teased about it. And I tell when I do my performances, sometime I go to different places and I talk to these kids. I'm like, yeah, those same people now pay to come see me perform. You know what I'm saying? So it was something I used as therapy, and I developed a passion for it, and it just kind of took off. I honestly didn't plan for it to be like this, but it's something like I'm like this close to quitting my job and just doing it full time. I just signed with the National Speakers Association, so I got some things in the works, but it's just something I've always been passionate about, and just kind of just found my way in it. Why I don't remember who told me this or somebody said it or where I heard it from, but a while ago it was like, find something you're passionate about, become great at it, and get people to pay you for it. So that's kind of what I did. I stuck to it. And again, to this day, my fellas, they'll still laugh at me like, what, you gonna write a poem about it? Actually, I am. And you're going to come pay to listen to it. So, you know what I'm saying? So
you're damn right I am. Right.
So,
and I'm going to fucking beat Don Cheadle at it next year.
Yeah.
I'm going at it again. I'm putting another one together this year. I stole the old Shakespeare title. The album's going to be called Heavy is the Head That Wears the Crown.
Oh, that's good.
So I'm actually putting it together now. So it's gonna be cool. I think it's gonna be as storyline as I Wish Life Had Training Wheels, but we'll see. I haven't really mapped it out just yet, but I got a couple poems that I want to use, and then we'll figure out the storyline in between. So before we even go, let me get to you guys. What did you guys think? I Wish Life Had Training Wheels. Would you recommend to somebody? Would you
Absolutely. 100%. I'll from my perspective, and I want to ask you several questions about it. It was an homage to your mother. You were paying tribute to your mom and how you were raised 100%. And was that her voice in the beginning when she was yelling at you? Was that your mom?
That was actually my which is crazy. That was my aunt, who is my mother's sister. But in this case, my aunt is, I think she's like 12 years younger than me. Papa was a Rolling Stone for real. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
So she went to the studio with me, and she just plugged that in real quick. So that was my aunt in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you had a recording of your mom or something like that, but
no.
It is you're paying tribute to your mom and how she was raising you and your brothers as a single mom, filling the role of a mother and a father, and even just you being able to say the F word during it was a theme that would cycle back around again. There were so many little lessons that you were teaching to Peanut, to Duck. So it was Julian was Peanut, his nickname was Peanut, and it was Damon, and his nickname was Duck when he was.
Yep.
So you're teaching all these lessons, and I'll ask you a couple of questions about them. But my initial reaction was, you were building men. You were in the process of building men for other people.
That's crazy, because now that you put it like that, I was absolutely doing my best to try to build some men for sure, while building myself at the same time. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Good correlation.
And what
I see what you did there.
We talk about all the time, because we have a lot of men that come on who didn't have a father figure in their life. And we asked them what they learned from their mother, and that's a lot. That's what your whole thing was based off of. I mean, it was amazing to hear that, and you brought it all together and again use your words to express it in ways that I thought was the most clear that I've ever heard it, you know. And it was just like, it was very easy to just flow with what you were saying. And like, I was watching a play, like I was watching it go on throughout as we're listening to it. And it was,
So it started, so that's good you mentioned that. So it is a stage play. I wrote it, and then I workshopped it at a couple theaters. They all told me it wouldn't work on stage. So I rented my own theater and put it up, and 37 shows, 37 standing ovations, and sold out crowds later. You know what I'm saying? So don't let these people tell you your shit ain't good enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just believe in yourself and do what you do. But yeah, so it is a stage play. So I think my next step is it was so bad. I'm just thinking about it. It was so bad. Like, it was me and 3 chairs on stage, and it's so cheesy. But I mean, I think now I want to get like an elaborate backdrop and a good staging, and give it one final live recording, and maybe just put it out there for the people to see instead of just hear. So I think I'm gonna do that. As a matter of fact, when I do that, I'm gonna send you guys some invites. Bring your loved ones and come check it out.
Building men of character, integrity, strength, compassion, and empathy through transformational mentoring, coaching, and motivational speaking is our mission here at Building Men. To work with me as a one-on-one life coach, you can find information in the show notes, or you can visit our website at buildingmen.io, where you can book a free 30-minute discovery call to help you become the strongest version of yourself mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Now, back to the show. Absolutely.
Invite only.
We would be honored to.
yeah.
And
Yep.
here's the thing, Chief, you have to go through that shit version of whatever it is first. Not that I'm equating this to a shit version, but whatever it is, you get good at it by the reps. You get good at it by doing it again and again and again, critiquing yourself, hearing yourself in any aspect of life. And that's the cool thing. And it's being a part of this journey, seeing it like where it started from, with you writing profusely over the course of several days, to up on stage, to now it is going to turn into something even bigger. It's a really remarkable journey that you've gone on there. One thing
appreciate that, man.
Before, oh, absolutely, man. We're fans of you. I'm so happy.
Thank you, man.
You talk about being in high school and being confident, and being the one who was out there talking with the poetry. One of the life lessons that you told to Peanut was the thin line between confidence and cockiness, that you would walk that thin line, but you said you're right on the edge all the time. You're confident, but you're right on the edge of cockiness. And I like that, because to be successful, you have to have a little bit of that, throw your shoulders back, put your head up in the air, walk with that strut, with confidence. But once you go over to the other side, then you're a fucking douchebag.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Line.
For sure. I mean, don't get it wrong. There's some people who probably will label me a douchebag, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? Those people. So I saw something the other day. I can't remember where I saw it from. I'm big on like taking these memes and storing them in my bank, but it says something like, "I'm only arrogant when my confidence meets your insecurity." And I was like, ooh, that's nice. Right. But I think ultimately, man, like there is a thing, like we have to, like, again, confidence is not something that we're necessarily taught. We kind of figure out one day by, getting as men, getting the girls is what kind of gives, helps us develop this confidence, or winning the big game or making a big shot, like stuff like that. So I've been adamant about just exemplifying confidence. Like, you can tell by the way when I walk in a room, it's just something about the way I walk that says, okay, this brother's confident. I walked in the gym one day. I bullshit you not. I walked in the gym one day to watch a basketball game, and some lady walked up and was like, "Are you a basketball coach?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think I'd like you to coach my son." Didn't know anything about me. just how I walked into the gym, and I was like, "Wow, this is kind of cool." You know what I mean? But so it's just confidence is it's as much as it's a state of mind. It's just, it becomes a lifestyle. You just be confident, understanding that. The cliche, I don't fail, I learn, that type of deal. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't know. I can't exactly tell you where it came from. I just know that I'm a believer in myself and in my capabilities. So
what's some of the things you tell, let's say, just young men specifically, when they're lacking that confidence, or when they don't, for example, like someone who doesn't have a father figure in their life, or a strong father figure, someone to look up to, and they're just constantly searching for that validation outside of themselves? What would you tell them that could be like, all right, this is a place to start to help build up your confidence?
I think you have to, again, I'm very meme and cliche with it in my head, but like you have to go with you've survived 100% of your toughest challenges. The fact that we're able to sit here and have this conversation means whatever you went through, no matter how hard it was, you're here. You've made it. So that's something to tell you right now. You are resilient. You have that already in you because you've made it thus far. Yeah, it still might be hard, but everybody goes through it. So I think getting them to understand that regardless of what's happened, they're still present and still have an opportunity to do and be better. And I'm big on goal setting. And in the process of goal setting, it's long-term goals and short-term goals. And just once you accomplish these little things in between, it helps to build that confidence. Like I set short-term goals like every 3 to 6 months on some, and it's like some dumb stuff. Like my last 3 goals, ready? My last 3 goals were drive a Tonka truck, one of the big ones we used to play when we was kids, drive a Tonka truck, become a professional bingo caller, and get a job doing late night love radio. Those are my last three things. I bet you didn't know you needed a license to call bingo.
I did not know that.
Bet you didn't know that.
Did you achieve that goal?
All 3 of them, absolutely. Climbed the ladder and drove the Tonka truck. I called bingo on Sundays at my grandma's bingo, which is the coolest shit on earth. And then what was the last one? The radio DJ. I did the late night love DJ for like almost like a year.
All right, so I have 2 quick questions. And can you first give me your best, like whatever the call is, and 57 that, and then what's going to be the bingo? So like pull out the letter and the number right now. Give it to us. So
here's the thing. I used to they used to kind of get mad at me every now and then because I would like, the elderly are serious about their shit. When bingo happens, it's not a game.
It's
real serious. So
boards too. There's boards all over the fucking
it's
table.
intense.
That's my mom is one of those. So I would sometimes when I would call B4, I would pull out and be like B4. Before I let go, and I would sing it, and they used, and after a while they would start to like sing it with me, so which was kind of cool. And then when I would call her I sometime, like I would use the Eddie. Remember you seen the Golden Child? I used to pull the I like I want the knife, and they would be like, "Come on, call it." So they would be kind of like they would be upset, but I would have fun with it. But yeah, I got a little video of me. I'm gonna tag you in it, Dennis, in my video of me calling bingo. It was pretty cool. It was a good time for sure.
You gotta do a little 69.
And then when you do that, they ring the bell. They go. Ding, 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 ding. There's people that every time you call 69, they ring the bell. No, for real. 69 God. And 66. That's serious.
Love that. Absolutely love that. All right. So then the other one was the late night DJ. You're playing baby making music, I'm sure, right? That's
baby man. I'm a big. I love people who can sing, man. So I always gravitated towards R&B music. So I listen to like people singing all day long. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love my hip hop and all that. And I'm very eclectic. I listen to all kind of stuff. Like I just came back from Nashville a little while ago. Like went to the country bars and had a good old time. But I've always appreciated people who could sing. So I was like, I want to do that. I want to be on the late night love channel. And that's what and I worked at Trinity College for a while here in Connecticut.
All right, so we're coming off a commercial break. You got whatever song ready to go. You got it queued up. Lead us into whoever. We're going with Barry White, Luther Vandross.
So my favorite was I can't remember the call letters now. I think you were tuning in W at WTRC. This is Chief speaking. We're about to play the next slow jam for you all. Please give me a call at 860-225 whatever. Send in your requests. Up now, Kerry Hilson, Slow Dance.
Oh, that's so good. Like now that I hear your voice, that's all I'm thinking about right now.
I'm thinking of taking my pants off and go.
I know. Let's go. I'm ready.
Yeah, you got to lean in and get the bass on them.
I was gonna say you got that bassy voice.
Yeah, you got to lean into them.
Yeah.
Back to I wish life had training wheels, because again, it's you talking to. It's a tribute to your mother, how you were raised. It's giving these life lessons, normalizing the pain that you were going through. And it's funny at times. It's really emotional at times. You break down at certain times. You laugh at certain times during this hour and 17 minutes or whatever it is. During this course, you definitely give little piece of advice. The first one that comes up or the second one that comes up was you talking to Peanut about getting women. Like talking about how to treat a woman. That was one piece of advice. And you go through and there's music in the background and you are spitting out lines there. And it's really cool. I was jotting notes. I couldn't keep up with everything you were saying. Can you pull out? Did you memorize it to where you can pull out a couple lines and one of the pieces of advice that you gave to Peanut and Duck?
I haven't done that poem in such a long time. I think that's a thin line poem. Yeah, it's a thin line poem.
Yeah.
Oh man, I massage hands, feet, and neck. I can't remember. I know there was put the towel in the dryer so it was warm on your back. Like that was a good one. My brother Peanut taught me that. Like you ladies taking a shower, you go throw the towel in the dryer, get it nice and warm. So when she come out, she's good to go. That was a gem. That's a gem. You guys should adopt that into them. But it was just I'm
gonna write that down right now.
Put the towel in the dryer.
Put the towel in the dryer. It definitely makes a difference. I can't even remember, dude. It's been so long since I've done that. It got to the point where I kind of like I had to compartmentalize that for a while because it was like literally draining.
Yeah.
Like this is coming. I'm acting in a sense, but I'm giving my life story. So when I talk about the situation with my brother, like I'm reliving these emotions. So when I'm crying, these are like genuine, like I'm coming from real, which is why in the audio version you don't hear it, but in the video, in the play version, after I give that after I'm doing the crying and give the pray for us poem, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, I have like a 6-minute intermission. My brother Duck actually dances. He does a dance to like some song, real sad, real like choreographed type dance to the song while I go back and kind of collect myself. Like there's no way I can give this story and jump right back into the happy-go-lucky jokes and stuff. Like I had to take a minute and process it. After every night, it was just completely emotionally. Like I'm spent. Everybody wants like, can we go out and have a drink? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, look, man, I gotta go lay down. Like I'm just done. Because I'm emotionally and physically drained from just being, acting and running around on stage and trying to get people to laugh and then pull them in emotionally and get them to cry with me. And then, like I said, by the time it's done, dude, I have nothing left, nothing. So I stopped doing the play because it was just like people the people were calling for the encore. So I was giving it to them. And then after a while, I was like, yo, I can't, I need a break. Cause 3 shows a weekend and it was just like, it's just rough. It's really rough. And granted, it feels great afterwards. The people applaud and the compliments you get, and just people pull so many different things from it. Like this one woman emailed me on Instagram, and she was just like talking about how when I was doing the father poem, and she was like, it just makes me want to build a better connection with my son because he doesn't have that. And like, so it was crazy. I'm like, that wasn't my message, but the fact that she pulled that was kind of cool. You know what I'm saying? So people pull whatever they pull from it. So it's good to get those words out and have people feel inspired and pull what they pull from it. But it was taxing on me, man. It did a number on me for a while.
There's a thing too, Chief, is that idea of the ripple effect that you've had. So you had the opportunity to talk, and this woman listened to you, and it's going to improve the relationship that she has with her son. So you might not have gone into it with this idea, I'm going to go in for this reason, but it did have an impact. So the fact that you were in my daughter's school, it had such an impact on her. She said, Dad, you got to talk to this guy. And now you're talking on this podcast, and we're going to reach, thousands of people from this podcast, and that message will get out to a larger number, so that the stone that you threw into the water is going to have an enormous ripple effect, because they'll listen to it and they'll share it with someone else who will share it with someone else, to be able to normalize that feeling of emotion, feeling of pain, feeling of leaning into that shit as well.
I don't know, Dennis, you might be, you're obviously the first parent who invited me on a podcast, but like not many parents have reached out. So it's really cool to like, and it's crazy from that experience. I got several emails and DMs and just about, thank you for coming to my school. My daughter, my kid really liked you. And I think that's just so dope. Like I talk to my kids now, but they're young. My oldest is 11, just turned 11. So it's just, how was your day in school, whatever. And there's no really like, this person came to my school. So I would love to be at home and her come home and say, this person came to my school and inspired me, shook me up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I think that's really dope and humbling as hell, man. Like extremely humbling. Like it feels good to have that much of an impact. Cause as kids, think about it. How many times did you go home and tell your mom that somebody came to your school and like shook you up a little bit and inspired you? It didn't happen, did it?
No. Not for me.
And I look at it and I'm like, not only do we want to use this to get your voice out there, but to inspire other people to use their voice, right? To be able to help other people. Again, like that's the biggest thing out of this is like how powerful it is to be able to put your words down, express how you're feeling, express your experiences, because maybe that could help some other men out there who are going through the same stuff.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And shout out to, and it's crazy you say that because Bordentown actually tagged me in a tweet recently from one of their kids reciting a poem. It was April's National Poetry Month. So one of the kids recited a poem and they tagged me. I'm like, that's so dope. And then like, I was the inspiration behind this. And now it's a whole movement at the school. That's really cool. You know, shout out to Bordentown Regional Middle School. Hey, P.S. side note, shameless plug. If you need a motivational speaker, guest speaker for your kids, your students, holla at me, chiefpoet@gmail.com.
Absolutely. And here's the other thing too. I love that you said that, Anthony and Chief, because there's a kid in 7th grade who wants to be able to express himself, but it might not be normalized for him to write poetry or to share his emotion in a specific way. You're this big black dude that's up on stage like, I'm a fucking badass. I'll walk into this room with my shoulders back and I'm gonna recite some poetry for you. And there's nothing fucking wrong with that. And it's fucking amazing, right?
It's pretty cool, man. So I got this little thing I do in the beginning of most of my sessions that kind of like pulls the people and I get them going. I can't tell you right now because it's gonna give it away and then I can't use it again. But it's pretty cool. And it like pulls the kids, it really pulls the kids in and have them going back and forth real quick. And then I just drop the bomb on them. So I've pulled them in emotion. I got them invested. Give them a poem and then we go from there. And actually, Bordentown was different because I didn't even get a chance to go through my whole, I got an hour worth of stuff to give them. But I did the opening, a poem, and they asked questions for like an hour. They just continued to ask questions and wanted to know about poetry in my life, and it was real cool. It was a great way to engage by giving them what they specifically wanted. So I was like, I'm going to divert my agenda and tap and dive into kids because this is what they're looking for, and it was awesome. It was really, really cool.
Absolutely. And so with that, working with schools right now, do you notice any commonalities with things that kids in middle school are going through as far as the questions that they're asking you? Is there something specific that they're like, you hear this on a regular basis?
I'm glad you took it in that direction. I was about to say, yeah, the commonalities, they're shitheads. But no, it's a lot of, candidly speaking out, before I get to that question, there's a lot of bad parenting going on, man. And it's frustrating. Like there's been cases where I work as a dean of students in a high school. So this poetry gig is my secondary profession, which is, again, it's going to be close to becoming my only profession. But the hardest part of my job is dealing with these parents, and it's bad. It's really, 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 really bad. But to your point, give me your question so I can make sure I get it right. So I don't want to.
You have mentioned that in Bordentown, the kids ask questions for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
You do your performance and you leave space for the kids to. This is a question I have. This is something that I'm going through. Have you noticed any themes or any commonalities with the questions that the kids ask you, things that they're going through?
A lot of them tap into a question I get often is, was I judged? Or like, what did my peers say about it? I think a lot of them aspire to write or want to share a story and are worried about being judged. We have that same confidence conversation because at that age, especially in middle school, we're looking to fit in. We don't want to be left out. We want to be with the in crowd or have our certain peer groups where we can gel and mesh with. And oftentimes that soul individual is the one who's teased and laughed at. But if you give them something to, if you help them build that confidence, and it changes the world. So I think the commonality is, how was I able to do this while being able to fit in? And I just said I wasn't. I didn't. I got teased about this, but I stood confident in who I was and did what I was passionate about. And that's the kind of the message I deliver. Like, I don't know where that confidence came from back then, but I knew that writing helped me. I wasn't really about sharing. Again, I shared 2 poems in high school and they were for English class. And then I didn't really get into it into college, but like, I knew that getting that up when I wrote after that bus incident, when I wrote it down, it felt good to just get it out. So I think it's more about just allowing the kids to ask those questions and help mold or attempt to mold their confidence around being comfortable in whatever it is they do. Some kids don't. I tell them to find their poem. It doesn't necessarily have to be poetry. We all have something that helps us alleviate some stress. So find your poem, whatever it is for you. If it's podcasting, writing, dancing, journaling, skateboarding, whatever the case may be, like find yours and dive into it. regardless of what people say. If it works for you, do what you do.
I appreciate that. And your point about parents resonates with me. I was a middle school principal for many years, so I totally understand that. If I'm giving a piece or two of advice to parents right now, it would be, one, let your kids fail. Let your kids understand that there are going to be times in their life that they're not successful. They'll learn more about themselves through the process of overcoming whatever that failure was. They'll learn about resiliency, about perseverance. The second thing is, it's not about disciplining your children. It's about teaching them what it is to be self-disciplined. I heard that Matt Beaudreau, we had on the podcast a while back, talks about that. It's not about what you say. It's about your kids seeing you be self-disciplined as well. So if you want to teach your kids self-discipline, you need to expose them to you being a self-disciplined human being. You mentioned parents drive you crazy right now. What's a piece of advice you'd give to a parent who's listening?
Stop
Don't call
enabling.
my office. Call my office.
Don't stop enabling your kids, man. Hold them accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Way too many kids are like, they're not being held accountable. If I call, so in one of my poems, I say, student cusses out teacher tells parent blames teacher, student never learns. So where's the lesson in that? And that's the reality of it. Like, you call home and say, your son did this in school. Well, what's the teacher do? Okay. The teacher may have done something, but I'm calling you about your son, or your son got into a fight. Well, did the other kid get suspended? I'm calling you about your son. I don't care about the other kid. I care about your son, which is why I'm on the phone with you right now. And that's the dilemma we have. They're too concerned about issues outside of their own children. And it's super frustrating. Super frustrating.
What you just said, I had that conversation no less than 100 times. That's a school principal.
Right.
I just had some PTSD right now. Conversation.
Shout out to all the educators, man.
Yeah,
for real.
Yeah.
Brother, any final questions for the chief?
Yeah. So one final question we'd like to ask everyone is, if there's one piece of advice you could give some of the men listening right now that they could start right now after they're done with this podcast, what would it be?
Find a young man and be a role model. Change your life to lead by example so that they can grow. Young men don't have enough mentors and role models. Doesn't matter what color, where they come from. There's no one teaching us how to be, quote unquote, a man. And it's super disappointing. I latched on to my high school basketball coach, older white dude, probably the closest thing I know to a dad right now. And I was just looking for that positive male influence. You know what I'm saying? And I think it was real subconscious how it happened. But now looking back at it, like, he had all the things you would want, you know, the wife, the kids, the beautiful house, you know, the good career, all that good stuff. So find a young man and help him be great. It's real simple.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Powerful. All right, Chief, where could the audience find you? Where can we get in touch with you?
I am on all social media outlets at Chief the Poet, ChiefThePoet, chiefthepoet.com, chiefthepoet@gmail.com. Hit me up. I'm open to talk to people just in general. Like, we have podcasts, All Black Men Need Therapy. Tap into that. Learn something. It doesn't necessarily, I mean, it's titled All Black Men Need Therapy. Believe it or not, a lot of our listeners are women, which is really, really odd. A lot of the listeners are women. They email us all the time asking us to break down certain topics and whatnot. So tap into that and, just lead by example. You know, we're going to make our mistakes, but when you do, own them and teach the kids, you know, that you've owned it. And so they don't make that same mistake. But when they do, own those mistakes and forward.
Building Men audience, find us at building.men on Instagram, buildingmencoach@gmail.com is our email address. Buildingmen.io is our website. We have an event coming up May 8th. It's a free event called the Tribe of Brothers. It'll be a paid event twice a month starting May 22nd, where we will do 2 Zoom meetings a month for young men ages 15 through 24-ish, high school and college. And we'll have mentors on, and we'll be helping young men go through all the shit that's difficult that young men go through. So check us out on our website. Thanks.
I want to be down.
Oh, dude, absolutely. We would love to have you on 100%. I'll send you the information. We would love that.
I want to be down. That's what's up for sure.
Please support our sponsors, Finish the Race Apparel for all things building men, and Become Stronger Industries for handmade steel maces, hammers, other badass equipment. Chief Michael Peterson, dude, this was absolutely tremendous. Thank you so much, my man. Go one step further than you thought you can go. We'll see you next time on Building Men.